All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to the LPL English coverage brought to you by Ghost Gamers and Games in Asia. I'm Pyrotechnics today on the casting desk. First time on this particular casting desk, but he's no stranger to it, guys. Please welcome, from GPL fame, is Chris the Man.
Hey, what's up, Pyrrha? I'm glad to be here today to join you to talk about the LPL games, and I'm very excited to be here. And to all of you guys watching, hello. And if I kind of make any mistakes, that's because I'm really nervous. It's my first time on the LPL stream.
You have been entirely flawless every time I've seen you before, so I think I have a little feeling that you'll be probably just fine today. But hey, we've got some exciting matchups coming through the pipe. I mean, seriously, today is going to be a battle of the sister teams starting out first. Young Glory take on Invictus Gaming for the first time since the very beginning of the split. And this is really a tale of two teams kind of going in opposite directions.
Yeah, and of course, I think both of them now have some very interesting positions in the LPL, especially given the fact that YG has recently gotten their groove going, and IG is sort of having some hit and miss times and going 1-1 in most of their matchups in the recent weeks. And finally we get to see them fight against each other once again, and hopefully we will get to see some good games coming out of today's matchup.
Yeah, I think so too. Remember, this is, of course, 2 games set for circuit points, and I'll go ahead and flip it over to the screen while we're waiting in just a brief delay, waiting for things to happen. We, of course, have, right now, in first place, World Elite tied with Edward Gaming. Edward Gaming, of course, 2-0ing over OMG last evening. Sorry for you guys that didn't quite see it yet. It's not a spoiler if it's over 24 hours. OMG, of course, sitting in third place right now with 15 points, 1 behind EDG and World Elite. Starhorn, a lot of people thought they were a dark horse. They've seemed to prove it right now. 10 circuit points in 4th place, LGD in 5th, but Invictus and Young Glory are down in 6th and 7th. So this isn't going to have a huge effect on the brackets. It would, Young Glory couldn't possibly overtake Invictus with a win here, even a 2-0. They'd get close, but things might stand as they are. What's really on the line now is for Invictus to start getting back into top 5. Remember, you don't want to be in those bottom 3. That's auto relegation at the end of the season.
Yeah, and especially for Invictus Gaming, if they manage to pick up 2-0 today, and if later on, of course, we'll see them in action, Starhorn going up against LGD, and if LGD unfortunately drops 2 games in a row, then they might be in a bit of trouble when it comes to these positions in the circuit points.
And going forward right now, this is definitely a game that I think Invictus Gaming have a lot really on the line, not just because of the circuit point thing. You don't want to lose to your sister team, the one that's considered to be your World Elite Academy, right? This is going to be kind of a big deal if they do drop 1 or 2 games. Now, last time I believe they went 1-1 at the very beginning, and they had a little bit of ups and downs with their top laner. Youngsu was very new at the time. Invictus Gaming has pretty much been riding a wave of just ups and downs for a little while now. So I don't know. Where do you see this one going? Do you have a prediction for this tonight?
Yeah, I think the IG roster has been pretty hit and miss, just like what I talked about, especially in the past few games. But I think overall as a team, they have kind of gotten a bit better. But I think the big difference that's gonna the whole thing that's gonna make a big difference is definitely Youngsu up in the top lane, and how much he has sort of evolved. And of course, we have seen him play a lot of Gragas up in the top lane, and hopefully if he makes some good plays today, then maybe IG can capitalize on that, especially with Zita as well. I think recently playing some really interesting stuff like Zillion in the mid lane, and with all that, then maybe open up some plays for the rest of the team for them to happen. But that said, I think they're still a pretty strong team, and I think with the recent changes, or not changes actually, the recent momentum that YG actually has, then I think we might see a very close fight. I think we might just go 1-1 again today.
Yeah, very well could be. So, looking at it now, we're going to introduce our players, of course. This is going to be Young Glory right now, and I have to hurry up because they're already running on through it, apparently. So, up in the top lane, number 1, it's aggressive, likes playing Lee Sin, but we've seen he does a lot of other stuff too. Had Gragas as well. In the jungle, of course, is going to be Yin Fu. And he has been rocking some interesting picks. Skarner has made his way onto the Rift in all the regions lately, but one of the first times we've seen it in competitive play most recently. And then, of course, over in the mid lane, we've got, I believe it for tonight, definitely going to be, Yangoon. He has played a fair variety of stuff, but he definitely favors the Yasuo pick. However, last week, they pulled out a really impressive strategy where they baited OMG into first picking it, and then he just kind of ran train on them with Riven.
Yeah, I would love to see that happen because I believe Zitai plays a fair amount of Yasuo as well for himself. So if we get that, yeah, I mean he plays everything, but if we get that Riven going up against that Yasuo matchup, we'd love to see that. And moving on to the AD carry, we do see Zhenlong, of course.
The dragon.
The dragon from Dragon Ball Z, for for those of you who don't follow, and then rounding things off will be the support player for YG. Yancer, of course, plays a fair bit of Leona himself, like what you can see from the screen.
So they'll go ahead and kick it over to the IG. YG and IG, this is going to be a little fun. You can tell they're sister teams, right? The roster announcements, of course, on that side. And here we go. Win percentage, you see it's sitting at 42.9% right now. Not the greatest in the world. Definitely a far cry from where they would like to be as a team. This is a team that, you know, made it all the way to the finals of the last spring split. And to come from that high and to fall, you know, down where they are, facing... I know it's halfway through the season, but facing possible relegation just sitting where they are, they've definitely got a lot to work on to move on forward. But here we go into the announcements of the players. Of course, Kitty's rocking that bot lane out. He's played Janna most recently, but he certainly plays a lot of stuff. Definitely likes Thresh, and I expect his Nami to probably be something prioritized.
Okay, I want to try to fix the static thing.
No worries, I'll keep running while you go. Kid is our AD carry for tonight. He's played Corki, he plays Kog'Maw, he plays a lot of good things. Actually loves anything that builds a Triforce. And there you see he's waving, saying hello to the audience. In the mid lane, there is the shot caller. It's going to be Zitai. This guy, for those of you that aren't familiar with him, Zitai has a champion pool. That's not really a pool, it's more of an Olympic-sized swimming facility. It is just ginormous. He can play anything. He played Renekton mid-week 1. He has no limits. And he has been getting the brunt of all the flack lately just because his shot calling is what many are arguing not leading the teams to victory. Illusion now in the jungle. He has also been favoring the Skarner pickup, but he hasn't had so much luck lately. Making plays early is his style, but the team relies very heavily on it. Not so good in the team fights, and it just hasn't been really working out for IG most of the time. Similar styles, of course, to their sister team. And then, of course, up in the top lane, there it is, Youngsu. And he's the one who started top lane Gragas, actually, but he has also played a lot of Shyvana lately. I believe he has tried to pair that up a little bit with Lulu Jarvan kind of pickups to round himself out a little bit. Not the deepest champion pool, but he does play what he plays very well. There were some worries that communication issues might abound at the beginning. You know, he's from Korea, of course, but I believe they picked him up from Moot Comet, a lower tier team, very specifically for the purpose that he, aside from being a very competent player, spoke very proficient Mandarin.
Yeah, and it's really important for especially when you get a foreign player, right, to try to at least speak your own language, because you can imagine, like, you know, you can ping, you can, you know, say go gank and stuff like that, but when it comes to specific stuff, like, you know, I'm going to grab the blue buff, I'm going to grab the red buff and stuff like that, more complicated stuff, then it's always better to have a clearer communication opened up. And I think the matchup that I really want to see for tonight is between Infu and Illusion, because of just how similar these two guys play, like the really aggressive junglers. So we might just see a lot of clashes right from the start.
I think so. Definitely expect a gank fest. Now, Yinfu has favored the mid and the top a little bit more. They kind of tend to give up on their bot side. And to be fair, with the performance of Zhenlong, it's a little bit rough luck, but that's not where they want to try and snowball their lanes. They know that they're not going to win that bot side battle. Kitties are generally considered a very strong combination comparatively. Zhenlong and Yancer not so much. But the question is, does Illusion then try to snowball that lane extremely hard and forsake Yangsu in the top? Or what do they do there? Where do you think the junglers are going to focus this game?
I think Illusion might just snowball the bomb lane really hard, just like you mentioned, and I think it's a completely valid point that you mentioned, that Kid and Kitties are the more veteran in the LPL itself, and of course they are much more consistent as compared to the ball lane duo for YG. And I think Zitai is going to hold his own pretty well in the mid lane. And in the top lane itself, you know, Youngsu, pretty hit and miss sometimes, but given the kind of champions that he plays, when he plays stuff like Gragas, stuff like Shyvana, you don't really need that much attention for you to get rolling. So it might be a good choice for Illusion to try to snowball up the bottom lane and make sure that Kid gets fed up. And with so much focus in the AD carry in the Chinese scene, I don't think that is a bad strategy to go for. And my question will be then, will Infu be able to sort of adapt to that and maybe make some appearances in the bottom lane, or will he go with the usual strategy? But then again, this is a best of 2, so maybe they will just get a feel of the things in game number 1 and then hopefully adapt in game number 2, so we don't know. We'll have to wait for the game to start in order to find out.
Yeah, they definitely got chances to correct for any previous mistakes they make up, and it'll be interesting to see how this initial champion selection works too. I'm really excited. There's a lot of contested picks up for it. Nami is one of those popular ones between Yancer, of course, and Kitties. Also, these are 2 junglers that, of anyone in the LPL, play Pantheon a lot. So here we go into picks and bans. Young Glory is going to be rocking the blue side for game number 1. Invictus Gaming over on the red side. First ban already up. Kassadin, no surprises there.
Yeah, so Kassadin still really, really strong, and I'm kind of a couple of seconds behind, so I'll try to catch up when that comes on. And IG taking some time to, yeah. So
Jax.
I think taking out the Jax is not too bad against YG's top laner, given the fact that he kind of plays a little bit of Jax, but in the end, just a general strong pick to take away. Now, of course, the fresh ban still targeted at Kitties, and that lifts Nami up for challenge. And with all this attention now turned towards this general flavor of the months, it's gonna open up some very specific picks, I feel.
Absolutely, I'm very surprised. Although we have discussed at length before that the pick ban phase in China is just not quite as developed compared to other regions. They tend to ban out, almost like if you're playing a solo queue game. They do see Braum taken away. Now that's something that both supports have played a lot of, but still. Wow, that first lock in though, YG picking up the Gragas takeaway. Yangsu will have to do something different this game.
So we might see him just go back to something like the Shyvana, but just given the pure strength of Gragas in the current patch, and I think it's also the fact that a lot of pro players, not only in the Chinese scene but just all around the world, have started to utilize that whole Gragas change on how well he trades with generally most of the top laners is still a pretty good pick to have. So not too surprisingly, not too surprising to see that as one of the first picks.
Yeah, I'm not really all that surprised at that either. Now, of course, speaking of not surprising, Yangsu's going to lock in Shyvana, his other main pick lately. It just kind of has been his fallback if he doesn't get to play the Fat Man. Illusion this time, rocking Skarner. And I am interested to see how this one works, but it leaves the Pantheon open for Yin Fu. And you'd think that they would want to take that one away from him just because he's one of the few players who still really likes to take it. Oh wow!
I'm just kind of
yeah. I'm a little bit speechless here that Tristana lock-in was pretty quickly. So the bot lane already fleshed out. Gen Long is going to be on Trist, and this leaves a lot of possibilities though for Kid, because he has been really proficient on a number of AD carries, and I would actually be surprised if he goes with the Lucian, but it has been pretty popular in general.
Yeah, and he might even go for something like the Cogwell, as I'm still trying to get the stream up on my end. So
lock the Ezreal. Yeah, if he goes back to Ezreal, that'd be a pretty big deal, just because, well, it doesn't matter because he didn't do it. They lock in Leona and Lucian on the bot side. Kid and Kitties going for a pretty hefty dueling combination. Now, what gets locked in on support right now for Yancer?
He's kind of hovering around the Urgot and the Janna and all that, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Don't they already have the Morgana happening?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, they already did have a support. I'm like completely out of it there. I thought they were going for something different. I'm looking at it like, what's he gonna take for the bot lane? Oh no, we already took the bot lane. So now they're thinking about how they go the mid. This is 410. Nidalee has been fundamentally changed, no longer really a mid lane champion. And yeah, there we go. At the last second, he's gonna swap it over. This is Diangun's signature. Yasuo is his main. He's been rocking it very good, very well, except for when they baited it out and tried something a little bit different. And Zatai, he can play just about anything, so he's perfectly okay with that. He's going to lock in the Zed pickup, so a couple of assassins in the mid lane this time.
Yeah, and I'm not too surprised that Zatai had just defaulted back to Zed, because there are a couple of champions that deal really well with Yasuo, Kayle being one of it, but now that they have banned it themselves, going back to something like a assassin like Zed, who's going to be able to close in on you anyways and have that chasing potential, is definitely something that Zitai wants to have. And if you look at some of the other pickups that YG already has, they have Gragas and they have Tristana as well, who's going to be able to disengage really well, especially in the team fight. So I think what IG, especially for Zitai, what he might just try to do is to pick someone off right from the start and then make it a 5v4 in the team fight.
They have a pretty solid composition from catching people out on the side of Young Glory too. They have a couple of ult combos that work into Yasuo at just about any displacement. The Gragas ult, I believe, works. I know the Tristana one does. So no really straight knockups, but definitely some displacement if they want to combo it like that. A lot of self-peel too for the carries. And this will come really in handy if the hard engage comes in very early from the side of Invictus Gaming, as it looks to. I mean, this is such a tanky frontline. Leona, Skarner, what more could you ask for? Shyvana. I mean, that's a really hard combination to kill. I'm surprised they don't have more burst.
Yeah, but you know, with IG's pickup as well, that they go for Leona instead of something like Nami, because we know for a fact that Skittles is, I mean, Kidis is really efficient on that Nami pick.
You just made me hungry now.
Well, you know, he's kind of really good on that Nami pick, and just going for a lot of front line, just like you mentioned, means that they just want to bring the fight over to YG. Whereas from the side of YG, I think they have a lot more flexibility to work around with, especially with the Morgana, who's just going to provide a lot of utility with the Black Shield and the Duck Binding.
We'll have to see how it goes, guys. This is patch 4.10. This is the LPL Summer, Week 6. Day number 2, and of course we are on Summoner's Rift.
Hey.
Here we go. Young Glory taking on Invictus Gaming. Battle of the sister teams. How's it going to shake out? It looks like we're going to see line of scrimmage taken over.
Yeah, so both teams just being a bit defensive here, but we do see Kitties and Kit just hanging around, and Zitai just gets spotted out by that lance from Infudo. So I think it's going to be a pretty defensive start, considering the fact that it's a Skarner going up against a Javan, and of course, Infu does have the option to go for the more aggressive play. He's not that reliant on that level 6 play, but you know, just given the fact that the Chinese scene relies so heavily on that hard engage, he might just want to get the level 6, you know, before he starts to actually pull in further against the jungler for IG.
It's a fair point. I wouldn't be all that surprised, though, if he does try to focus very heavily on this mid to get Diangun rolling. I mean, Zitai is the shot caller for the team. He's considered sort of the big playmaker. If he gets shut down, that's a pretty big linchpin in the strategy of Young Glory to try and make sure that they can't do much. I think they're not going to focus too heavily on the bot side just because it's a pretty solid lane between Lucian and Leona, and in general, Kid and Kitty's very strong. Also surprised that they did not for the lane swap. Tristana and Morgana going to be going down to the bot side if everything stays the same as it is now.
Yeah, but they should be able to go quite even against each other. But then again, we have talked about how Kid and Kitties are generally the stronger dual lane bottom, and for YG to not go for the lane swap, it means that they might be quite confident of their capabilities going to this one. And Tristana is of course one of the up and rising AD carries ever since the changes to some of the items, the Bloodthirster changes primarily, and of course
so relieved about it too. I used to like be a Trist main.
Yeah, so you open up a lot more options, and having just Zhenlong play Tristana now in the bottom lane is... They probably would just want to sit back and farm a little bit more now that they have the Morgana option as well. So I think the primary focus should be in the mid lane, because if you look at it, there's a lot of setup for Jiankun to actually activate his last breath. And so if he gets ahead early on with items like Static Shift, IE, etc., then it's definitely a good sign to have. But now, actually the bottom lane duel for YG just shoving the lane up really aggressively, so just making sure that they can keep IG in check.
Yeah, it does open him up a little bit, though, if Illusion wants to favor it. You can see him making his way down to the bot, got his red buff available, no ward in the brush. However, almost instinctively, Answer and Zhenlong are backing away a little bit. This is great, though, because Tristana wants to just poke a little bit and farm up to the late game when she just becomes an absolute beast. Now, got to be careful, though, as there is a Pokemon in that brush. Don't go into tall grass alone.
I'm quite sad that we don't get to really listen to...
Here he comes! He comes out of the brushes. Oh my goodness! The Black Shield comes out, but Shenlong will manage to get away with the flash. The Black Shield saved him from being stunned up, and he'll have to back away. No first blood. A lot committed to that, but only a Kid flash burned as well. So far so safe, and we'll see if he goes to this top lane now. It looks like it's going to be Infu coming in, flag and drag, and they try to jump on him, force the flash away from him. The big tower damage coming out onto Yinfu, and he's still kiting around the tower. Yangsu staying alive. Yinfu and Yangsu. Getting myself mixed up here. Number one gets out without getting the kill. Bit of a misplay. Now, meanwhile, in the mid lane, Illusion's double teaming up with Zatai onto Diangoon. Can they pick this one up? The Ignite's taken away, and it's going to be first blood over to Illusion. Zatai just backed away from that one.
Yeah, so very nice movements coming in from Illusion, and we start to see the kind of trends that he wants to do now. So, snowballing the bottom lane, which we have said, just giving Zhenlong and Yense some trouble, and of course in the mid lane, just keeping that Yasuo on the reps, very, very important at the start, and of course feeding some assist over to Zitai, and now we do see Illusion making his way again.
There we go, and this is probably going to be Shenlong going down. Yense just stands there and goes, I can't do anything about that. So Illusion, yeah, he goes to the bot, he can't get a gank, he goes to the mid, he gets a gank, he goes to the bot, he gets a gank. He just loves ganking. It's kind of his thing.
Yeah, and it's really his thing to sort of play very aggressively, and so far Infu hasn't been able to respond to that, to mirror that up. Actually, he did go up to the top lane, but he himself kind of just made a mechanical misplay, and he took a lot of turret aggro as well. And of course, this is still in the 4.10 patch, which means that it's not the change where turret aggro is just going to be insane with the first 2 shots in, but still, he needs to reconsider the sort of pathing he takes.
Yeah, I think he's kind of himself pretty happy about that. Well, they're going to catch Kid now. Zhenlong is jumping in for it. There's the flag and drag forward. They knew they had that one secured up. Kitties probably should have gotten out a little bit earlier. However, wow, they're really diving for this one. Leona's so tanky. They're tanking tower shots like it's nobody's business. Darkbind is going to land, and they get it. He pokes him in the back of the head. But that was such a hefty commit from YG. They even the kills up. Gold is pretty close to even. I mean, it worked, but that looked like it could have turned bad really quickly had Illusion been in the area.
Yeah, so maybe it's just a little bit of hindsight from Illusion because he did went back, but right now he has already cashed in some of his gold to buy that boots of mobility, so he would be able to make those very speedy ganks that we saw in the bottom lane and into the mid lane earlier as well, so we'll see how it goes. But up in the top lane as well, I think Youngsu.
Illusion trying to chase out the fat man, but he's going to be able to cut away. Youngsu gave nothing away to that one, but for some reason, I guess number one just kind of sensed that. These teams seem to really have each other figured out, which I would guess comes as no surprise considering their sister teams. I'd imagine they scrim on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, so I mean, sister teams, they should know each other's strategies to a certain extent. Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like living in the same bedroom. You'll get to see each other's habits.
They share the do they share the same team house? That'd be kind of cool. It might be a little cramped, I guess.
Yeah, it would be a little cramped, but I would suppose that the gaming houses in China would be pretty huge and lots of space to go around.
Wait till they have the Cribs China LPL edition. Can't wait for that one to come out.
Yeah, so.
All right, so
I would love to see how they around this.
Oh yeah. Let's see. Now we have Yinfu. He's after getting he did get double kills in that bot side push, so he's definitely going to have himself a little bit more gold to work with going forward. You see that gold that Illusion picked up for the same thing, already spent on a nice shiny pair of mobility boots, so his ganks can be even quicker. He can wiggle the lane even faster. I think really the junglers have been the big playmaking, and everyone else is just kind of trying to focus on farm and not engaging too hard. It seems like they're just waiting for that to happen, for the jungler to choose where the next big play is going to go down.
I think it's just kind of expected, just given the play styles of both the junglers, but I think we might just see another fight break out soon with Illusion just lurking around in the Wraith area and with Infu just setting things up in the tri-brush as well. But something to take note is the CS discrepancy that Kid has over Zhenlong now, and it's just kind of like what we expected with Kid being the veteran in the LPL.
And to be fair, Tristana is one of those champions that is expected to be a little bit more behind on farm in general. But, that's also another reason why you may not want to pick her as somebody who is considered to be maybe a little weaker of an ADC. So it's a bit troubling. Has definitely had to adopt the double Doran strategy for the time being. And with the longsword pickup first, I'm not sure if he's going to be going for a Blade of the Rune King. I would imagine that's what he turns it into. And then meanwhile, Lucian, of course, already got the pickaxe, so he's going to be a little bit more ahead if it keeps up.
Yeah, that should be the case for Zhenlong over here to play safe and try to at least hit into the late game stages with some comfortable builds, so that he can try to actually duel out with Kid with his burst damage.
Yeah, I think that they just have to stay safe on the side of Young Glory, and well, as I say it, there goes Shenlong trying to bait out a bit more attack. He's using himself as bait. They have to know something's up. Here we go. There's a Flag and Dragon. Kiddies takes the bait, hook, line, and sinker. Kid is going to get exhausted. The answer going on, but Illusion's there to answer. Kiddies getting jumped on, and then Leona Tanky, for all that was, still goes down. The answer now being chased out, and Zhenlong trying to kite away. Illusion's going to pull in Jarvan. Wow, they get Yin Fu, and they're still going. One more hit, the double tap. Can he get it? Oh, he does! Kid picks up himself another kill, and that's a double, actually. Nicely played. Nicely countered.
Triple kill.
Oh, did he get
triple
the triple? Excuse me.
He didn't get the
Shame
triple,
on me.
so.
I missed that. I'm a bad caster, guys.
I'm a couple of seconds. I'm a couple of seconds behind, so I can see like. What's
yeah,
going on.
you can correct all of my mistakes. That was fantastic play by Kid, though, and they're not done yet. Their death mark coming in. Zatai now pushing forward into Diangoon. However, the wind wall is going to block out a couple of his shurikens. He doesn't matter. He's got a lot more to spam. He's got the CDR thanks to that blue buff that he's picked up. I always wondered who would win if Samurai versus a ninja.
Well, looks like Diangoon is the one leading so far, and a very impressive performance given the fact that he did go down very early on, so Zatai having that one assist as well. But
Diangoon. Kitties and Yongsu both there. Oh, the wind wall knocks away! Oh, doesn't matter. Dragon's Ascent comes in, and they mop him up completely. So Zatai, look at this collapse, though. IG just turning on the pressure big time. So now that they have alleviated a little bit of that bot side, they're able to do just as much as they want to. Here we go. Kitty's going in a little preemptively, perhaps, but number one should be able to get out with most of his health bar intact. They just trimmed a bit of the fat off him. And now this leaves Yongsu in a free push situation. And it seems like Young Glory all of a sudden is stumbling to try and counterplay everything that's happening against them.
Yeah, and it all started out with that very preemptive read that Illusion had in the bomb lane as well. So, really have to call him out for that. Reading the baits from Yinfu probably took him a little while to arrive, but when he did, it definitely turned the situation around, and that gave a lot of freedom for number one. Sorry, not number one. For Kitties to actually move into the mid lane and actually make the play happen, and Yongsu as well joining to the fight, and just keeping that Yasuo on the reps is ever so important, making sure that he doesn't have any items, because with all this setup, but if you have no damage to follow up, then it does not make any sense at all.
Yeah, I completely agree. They really need to make sure that they're syncing these things up properly, and so far Invictus Gaming doing the better job of it. Now, Yinfu trying to make something happen around the bot side, waiting for engage doesn't really matter because in the mid lane. Wow, Diangoon gets the better of Zatai just barely, and Illusion now can free push on this one. That is the tiniest of health bars. And Yinfu's like, you know what, I don't really want to gank bot anymore, so I'm going to just move up to the mid lane. The push down bot will continue on its own, but still a pretty big discrepancy. 30 farm differential between Kid and Zhenlong. And, well, that just seems to be the story of it so far. Interesting that he went back and got a pickaxe, so now he's going over to the more conventional eye-edge rush, but he's still behind a full BF sword.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge problem to say the least, and not to forget, Kid actually had that 3-kill start as we actually see the replay.
Yeah, this is
I'm a couple of seconds behind, so
I cannot believe that. He barely got Zatai, and that is why you don't give Diangoon Yasuo.
Yeah, because he has some pretty good reads on that one, and I think the big story of that was that he managed to land the last breath on the last second that just kept Zatai under turret aggro. That's why he managed to set the fight.
That's the last thing you might do. It worked out for him. He's 1 and 2 compared to the 1 and 1 and 1 of Zed, and also Zed Blade of the Rune King start. What do you think about that one?
I think it's not too bad of a choice. You get that extra burst damage, but with the recent changes to Blade of the Rune King, means that you don't necessarily have the best sustain in lane now, but you are definitely going to deal a lot more damage. And with Zatai having that one up against Diangoon is a good choice to have, I feel.
Although Illusion, sensing this one, wants to make something happen. Looks like he will back away from that. Meanwhile, Yinfu in a similar position, trying to navigate his way to the bot side. No dragons taken. Interesting that the 410 patch has really prompted this shift in the way Chinese teams lately have been fighting. I've noticed a lot less early dragons, a lot less early rotations, a lot more standard lanes, really.
I think it might be just the lead up to Worlds and maybe adapting to the new patch as well.
Yeah, they tend to play a little safer when they have to catch up on patches. China always just a little bit behind, a week or two generally. And we just had 412 ship in the States, of course. But yeah, they're still on 410 here for the time being. And yeah, they definitely want to play as safe as they can. Of course, this is the opening game too. So they always have a chance to do something a little bit crazier going forward. But so far, whoa, Zhenlong, you cannot face tank things like that. Yancer going to jump in front of the culling. Like a nice support. And Zhenlong, he has to back away from this one, but the shove is real. Invictus Gaming on this bot side. Top lane, meanwhile, going to be fairly even trade. Youngsu dodging out from the barrels. And we see number one has to ult just to get the dragon off of him. And this is going to be, speaking of dragon, this is going to be the first dragon started up by Invictus Gaming. No pressure whatsoever on this bot side. And Illusion's got a smite ready.
Yeah, so it should be the dragon going over to IGN. In that case, then they will be able to maintain some nice control for themselves. And I'm a little surprised that Infu has put in so much effort in the bomb lane, because if you look at it realistically, Zhenlong is just way behind. 40 CS down and 3 kills down as well. So in that sense, I'm not too sure what's the thought process. Maybe trying to get him back into the game, and hopefully in the late game might have something work out, but he might want to turn his attention into the mid lane, which is something that we're seeing now.
Yeah, Zatai is getting focused pretty heavily by Yinfu, and Yinfu does like to do this. He likes to snowball Dangoon if he can, and they've recognized that this potential even matchup is a bit in Zatai's favor, and if they can shut him down, they can eventually stop a lot of the plays. But it really has just kind of been a dueling fest with the help of a couple junglers most of the way. If this game continues as it goes, IG just looks better and better. They've got a slight gold lead now. Their towers are, of course, none of them really been taken, but that's really going to just be a matter of time. However, it's really going to be easy for them to go forward with this one. And here you go. There's a nice lockup. Dangoon's going to melt. And Deathmark helped out. Illusion popping his ult and getting the Impale off. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, Yancer and Zhenlong are on the run as they try to kite out. That was a completely missed Dark Binding, and Kid going to go forward. Dash on it. There was a nice ultimate. Leona with the Solar Flare, and Kid will mop up Yancer.
Yeah, and that's just the result of how far that, the IG bottom lane has gotten now. 4-1 and 4, having the IE. Oh, hold on.
Here we go, more jump forward, and it looks like, whoa, Yinfu! You can't be there 1v3, and that was a little overzealous, but a nice dive. And Invictus Gaming, I feel like they just, at the last second, keep turning the gas up a little bit more every time. And they take their first tower of the game, solidify a little bit more of this lead. Youngsu now pushing on the top. Young Glory just looks lost.
Yeah, especially for... I feel like the most of the time is Infu not keeping up to the pace of Illusion, and that early boots of mobility definitely coming into hand here. And Kid getting himself some nice snowball, 6-1-1 already, finishing up the IE, and these should be going back soon to finish up, maybe into a static shift, maybe into a PD, or we'll see what he gets. And even in the mid lane as well, we did see some very nice trade-offs for Dangoon, but it was just instantly shut down by Illusion with that Skarner ultimate as well. So very nice pace overall coming in from IG.
Yeah, I mean, this is a Lucian that is finding himself very far ahead. 6 kills. He's got 30-40 farm over his lane opponent. There's really no trouble. Uh-oh, Zatai might be in trouble, though. He has to flash away, and the Ignite's burning his health bar down. Kitty's trying to block some things out. Dangoon really wants this one. He might be able to get it. Deathmark coming in, and Dangoon is taken extremely low. Zatai hasn't actually died yet. He's still alive. The ult coming out. Yancer, he's going to get the kill. And, wow. Okay, at turnaround. Kitties and Illusion now should be able to clean this one up easily, and Yinfu got nowhere to go. So they trade 1 for 3. What looked like an easy kill onto Zatai just resulted in a whole mess for Young Glory, and they're just grasping for anything they can grab at this point.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned at the start of the game as well, like he has an Olympic-sized, Olympic pool-sized champion pool, and that's exactly what it is. He's playing perfectly on this Zed, juking in and about using the brush to make sure that he can sort of just delay the time for his rest of the teammates to come in, and coming out huge on that one, got a couple of assists in as well, so we'll take a look at the replay.
Oh yeah,
if you look at Zatai's position here, he was so low, but he just managed to survive all that using the Deathmark as well, just to create those extra shadows in, and you see Infu trying to follow up, and
some people at the beginning of this show were making a lot of faker jokes, and that might have just justified them. That was incredible dodging. I mean, he pretty much baited that perfectly to pick up the 3 kills. And that is completely worth losing Zatai once. I mean, he's gone down twice for as much as they've focused him this game. And Young Glory, it's a consolation prize, if anything.
Yeah, but, you know, off of that, IG picked up so much more. They picked up the mid lane turret as well. So right now they are 3-0 in terms of turret count and 8 kills ahead as well. I mean, all this goal is going to matter so much especially when you look at you know, Young Glory, who is pretty reliant for Yasuo to deal some damage, but he's just behind for the most of the game.
Yeah, as good as Diangun has been doing, I mean, he's going to have to put the team on his back heavy duty because the rest of the lanes have just either traded even or just been shut down. Kid and Kitties have steamrolled through this bot side now, and they've sent Diangun there to try and even things up, but Zatai following right on his heels. I don't know. What do Young Glory have to do to try and get back into this? I mean, they're just losing this game out of hand very quickly.
I think they might just want to try to group up. That's one way that they can do it, because right now if you look at the entirety of the game, they have just been picked off left, right, and center in all their individual lanes. And as a result of that, IG has been able to capitalize, pick a couple of kills, or as Infu was in a bit of trouble. So, yeah. I think if they group up, maybe make some team fights happen and give that little bit of edge over to Diangun, then it should be one of the solutions that they can look at. But IG's just shoving in so aggressively now.
Yeah, and Illusion's right where he wants to be too. He has gotten relatively tanky with the Frozen Heart build, and he's 4-0, not gone down at all, and that's a thick Crystal Carapace to deal with. So at this point, he can just frontline tank just about whatever he wants. Now Zatai going on to Diangun. There's a mini wave there, but he doesn't care. Deathmark comes out, it blows him up. And yeah, that's I guess ninjas beat samurais after all.
Well, at least in this game, I feel, because he has been getting a fair bit of help from the Scorpion, and I guess that's the reason why. So that's a problem, you know, when we look at this kind of matchups. When you know you have someone who's really fluent on a lot of champions, and then you have someone who specializes in Bling 1. You know exactly what to do to counter that.
Yeah. That is one of the issues with the champion pool stuff, and we actually have a little bit more to go into that in the next couple of games as we have. I just realized I didn't even announce who was playing after this. Of course, well, I guess we can talk about it afterwards because Yangsu decided now is the time to engage on #1, and he's kiting around the turret, or rather trying to. But the Fat Man is proving too much for him. He survives. They look a little thinner after that.
I like how you just compare to that as. Every time his health bar goes down, he just becomes
it's the
slimmer.
fitness program. It's the Gragas fitness
program. It's the fitness program.
Eventually, he's gonna be like. Eventually, he's gonna be like Zatai, like Lucian or Zed Skinny, you know.
Or Draven, yeah.
Or Draven is a really skinny dude.
Yeah, and he has the mustache as well, so.
Oh yeah, he does.
I suppose that's one.
I always thought he looked like one of those dwarves from Lord of the Rings, just but oversized, really tall.
My goodness, yeah, that should probably be it. So, you know, just holding his barrel around, you know, drinking stuff from it. And then
I bet that was the inspiration. I gotta find out next time I talk to the riders. Yeah. So, anyways, in the mid lane right now, they're gonna focus on keeping all these turrets alive because they just have such a huge advantage that Young Glory is afraid to engage anytime Illusion shows face. And look at that, he's gonna kite forward. I can't believe this, Sir. He gets locked up. He's got nowhere to go. And they just can take picks like this all day.
Yeah, so I think that's just the whole thing going out of control for IG, especially Illusion making some huge plays happen, like what we saw in the mid lane as well.
And now Zatai is going to stay alive and pick himself up another kill from Diangun. These guys just love dueling each other. Uh-oh. Infu's ready for it. Cataclysm. Bye-bye.
Yeah, unfortunate for Zatai there.
Yeah, but he got killed out.
You know, I guess that's one of the problems, you know, when you go for this 1v1. Oh, hold on in the mid lane.
Whoa! #1 completely whiffs that ult to the side. Kid going forward now onto Shenlong and Illusion. Kitty's just trying to bait out something around the side. Yangsu there as well. It's still a 4v4, but Diangun will come up a little sooner. And they think they're going to have to settle just for taking down this tower for the time being, but they have so many avenues of attack. It's a massive turret lead, 5-0. They could start looking at Baron. It might be a little early to call that, but, you know, this is China.
Yeah, fair enough. But I guess it's not too bad of an option because they're just so far ahead, and in this game it's so decisive. Like when you look at the jungler movements, Illusion has just been out-rotating Infu for the most parts in the game, and that's what has been giving all the laners for IG all this goal and resources for them to play so aggressively. You know, Kid himself finishing up the Phantom Dancer as well. You know, having the Last Whisper in the pockets, dealing a lot of damage.
Oh, Dangoon. That's not going to be good if your carry goes down that early in the fight. And they're still pushing on forward. Colin comes out right now as Kid, just having a ball, having a field day. Kitties gets locked up with the Dark Binding, but Yancer might be done for now. He's going to flash back into safety for the time being, but maybe nowhere is safe soon enough. Kid going to eat a barrel. There's the Death Bar coming in. Zed! He nearly gets an explosion, and he will finally get the delayed response time. Youngsu going to pick up Tristana. Zatai going to pick up number 1. They are just running every corner of the map. They're inside the base. Young Glory just looks like they're out of steam.
Yeah, and the thing I really like about IG when they go for this initiative is that they are very clear on who they want to pick off first, and then subsequently it's also the thing that they have about the aggro management. They know how to back off when they feel like it's a bit dangerous, but so far they have been doing a very good job in all these engages, and it looks like a very clean IG as well.
Yeah, they are looking a lot better just in general, and this is a team that was having some troubles lately. Granted, yep, okay, well, we don't have any time to talk about it. Yancer goes down, Yinfu tries to save himself, he's going to flag away, but every time they try to just get a little bit of poking, which for turn in kind, Grog is going to go in with the ult, doesn't quite get the barrel in there in time, they knock everyone away. Teleport in from Yangsu means the siege once again continues. Illusion isn't even needed. He's just sitting at Fountain for a second before he decides to come back out, and this is disaster control for Young Glory as they have minions streaming into the mid side of their base, super minions. The bot side is looking pretty juicy. However, they do have a wave pushing against the top side turret right now, and Invictus is not responding to it.
So that's I don't think it's too big of an issue for Invictus though, because
surrendered. I looked up for 1 second and I'm like, oh hey, they surrendered. Okay, so yeah, I mean total catastrophic failure for Young Glory as they could not string anything together after Dangoon decided to 1v1 and just barely lost out to Zatai. Incredible though, and Invictus, I mean, it's hard to say against the lower tier teams, but they certainly have looked much worse than they do tonight.
Yeah, so pretty dominant performance from YG. Sorry, not YG, IG, yes, Young Glory. Not looking so glorious for the first game.
Of dominant.
Yes. So let's see if they can pull something off, and they did have a pretty nice draft phase, I feel, having the whole Yasuo composition come into place, but I think the big MVP in this match is definitely Illusion.
Yeah, I give it to him big time. The Skarner pickup paid dividends almost instantly. He went bot, he went top, he went mid, he went bot again, he went mid again, and he got kills like 3 out of 4 times in the first 5 or 6 minutes. It was a very slow, controlled pace game, with the exception of the ganks. They just took a little bit, took a little bit more, took a little bit more after that, and then they just turned on full throttle. It was beautiful, really. And Young Glory, they have to look at that and say, guys, we cannot let the snowball happen again because we know we will get outpicked in a lot of situations. They were on the blue side this time. They had the first pick opportunity. They got a lot of what they wanted. This has got to be so disheartening. You look at the replay. Here they go again. Dangoon going forward for Zatai, but he runs into Kitties and Illusion, and then the Death Mark comes in, flash over the wall for Zatai. He's going to just kite away from the shadow, avoid Yinfu entirely, and Kitties and Illusion mop that kill up. Zatai stays alive. Yancer says, I can soul shackle you to death. He still goes down thanks to the Ignite, and then Yinfu's got nowhere to go. I mean, when you have such an advantageous position and then you just get turned on like that, especially with the champions that you wanted in the first place, they've got to come up with something different. Otherwise, this is going to be an easy 2-0 for Invictus.
Yeah, and considering the fact that Youngsu plays a lot of Gragas in the top lane as well, but this time he has to default back to something like Shyvana, but still perform that well on one of those champions, it means that YG's in a little bit of trouble today.
Yeah, well, we'll see if they can get themselves out of the hole. As, guys, it was quicker than expected, but we'll be going over to a bit of a commercial break. Of course, you can keep watching the analyst desk, the analyst couch for the time being. And once again, we will be right back. Please, guys, do not go anywhere. You're watching the LPL in English.
IG 取得非常大的优势之后呢，其实比赛就差不多。所以最后那地方也是就投降，YG 投降收尾。那我觉得 YG 下一盘心态可能要稍微收一下跟调一下，因为我觉得他们打一个是风险杠杆用的有点大，就是这个杠杆比例太大，就是说我想要冒大一点的风险，然后看能不能够一次取得很大的优势，然后来打下 IG。但是在 IG 有所准备的状况下，下路那个被3杀反杀有点最主要性的。然后小孩也是很敢，小孩对于卢锡安的伤害了解的非常透彻，就是他知道我过去扛一下塔，然后点你那个被动打他2枪，你就死。所以他那种好几个击杀都是扛下塔，然后杀你，扛下塔杀你。